Hi, Patrick Phillip here at Effective Martial Arts HQ. In this lesson, how to learn martial arts by watching videos on YouTube. Alright, so in this lesson, I'm going to cover everything you need to know to be able to absorb information effectively online through video and build real skills, real martial arts skills while doing so. Now, this is a video that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and right at the moment of this recording, we're just beginning the social distancing period because of the coronavirus or COVID-19 crisis here in Canada. So I know it's going on worldwide, and I know a lot of people are going to want to know how to make the most of the situation and capitalize on online platforms such as YouTube in order to absorb information and keep building their martial arts skills or start building their martial arts skills if they have not started already. So this is a subject matter that's really near and dear to me because I would consider that learning online through video has been my primary method of building my skills, acquiring knowledge, and building martial arts proficiency. I do consider myself self-taught, kind of an autodidact, if you will. And I know not all people learn necessarily that way naturally, but if you develop that ability, I think it can be very beneficial to help you move forward in your martial arts skills. Now, to be honest, I don't just use online platforms. I'd say it's my primary method of learning, but it's not the only one. And I have had the privilege of practicing with a lot of experienced martial artists, drilling, doing private sessions, sharing information. A lot of students have helped me develop techniques as well through drilling time and sparring. So there's definitely more that goes into it than just absorbing information on video. So quick overview of what we're going to talk about today. First is scheduling your study time. So you need to have a set amount of time that you invest regularly in absorbing that information. Second is knowing who do you listen to and where do you start and what kind of information you should be absorbing. So we're going to cover that in this talk. Third is how to implement consistency, and I'm going to share with you my own method and my kind of rhythm of learning, so you might adapt it to your own schedule or preference. And fourth is reminding you the importance of fitness. So no matter the information that you have, and even if you do practice the application of those skills, you do need fitness. Okay, that definitely should come first, and always keep that in mind and keep your fitness fresh. So we're going to talk about that too. And lastly is how do you then take the knowledge that you absorb on video and apply it in practice on the mat during solo practice, partner drilling, and sparring, and how to do that most effectively. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. First subject matter is scheduling the time. So, developing the habit and the discipline of absorbing information online. So, it's the same as when you're in school, except studying martial arts as a subject matter. Nobody is going to force you to do it from this time to that time. It's really something that you have to take charge of on your own. So set a schedule that works for you. So I like to do it late night. So when I finish my workday, instead of chilling, when I have the mental energy and I'm not too tired from my day, I don't do it every night, but I do it regularly. And I absorb information when the day is done. So I've done my supper, I've done everything I needed to do for work, I've done my training, I spend time with the family, and then I just relax and absorb good information and absorb that information that way, so that I can have that knowledge and do it in a set amount of time that works for me. Other things that have worked for me in terms of time, so when I'm into it, I like to do it when I'm eating. Sometimes if I'm not eating with anyone, I will look at information on my phone. And I study not only martial arts online, I study also business, sales, leadership, computer, so software when I'm doing editing. Whatever I do, essentially, I learn online, and you can as well. Whatever subject that interests you, if you want to learn a language, you can learn anything online these days. So I absorb that information when it works. So when I'm eating, if I'm commuting as well, if I'm not driving, I will absorb information that way as well. So during net time that we call, which is no extra time. So where you're not doing anything anyway. So you're waiting in line, you're doing something else, you can absorb good information that way. So definitely the first part is scheduling and staying consistent with it in terms of scheduling so that you develop the habit of absorbing that information. Now, I've talked about this before, and I will talk about it again. Developing a habit requires discipline and it requires willpower at first. Studies show that you have to force yourself to do it for about 2 months until it becomes a habit and until it won't cost you willpower anymore. The best example is think about brushing your teeth. Usually it doesn't require much willpower to muster up the courage to brush your teeth. There's something that you do in your evening routine before bed. So it's the same with fitness training, it's the same with your martial arts training, and the same for any positive habit you want to build in your life. It will require discipline at first, and you will have to force yourself. So you will have to apply selective discipline and know that when you invest your willpower in that area, other areas you will not be able to expend as much willpower because it's going to be already invested in that area. So you have to apply it selectively until it's a habit, and when you are in the habit of absorbing that information regularly, it doesn't cost you any more willpower. So then you can do it kind of on autopilot and keep moving forward, and it becomes less consuming in terms of energy and willpower. So first is schedule the time. Next, what do you watch? Where do you start? Who do you listen to? So what do you absorb in terms of information? And this is a huge question, especially for beginners that have no experience, they don't know where to start. Here is my take on it. I think that you should first determine what source you want to consult in terms of absorbing the information. And the best way to put it is you should listen to people that have what you want, right? Listen to people that have the skills you want to develop. But not only that, not only do they have the skills and they're able to demonstrate that skill, but also they have the ability to communicate the information to you effectively. So they have to be good communicators, good teachers, and in this case, if you're looking at online learning, the information needs to be presented in a concise and effective format online. So in terms of martial arts skills, if you want to listen to somebody that has the skill, they need to have the demonstration of that skill somewhere. The best way to see that is to see that person in action, in sparring, or in actual fights, so professional fights. Whatever type of martial arts or area of martial arts that interests you the most. For effective martial arts, we cover one curriculum for basically striking, wrestling, and grappling. So all the aspects that are involved in MMA or all aspects of hand-to-hand combat. And that's what we did here in this channel and here at our school. We basically created a belt system for MMA or for hand-to-hand combat. So we want to give our students all the tools to be able to move forward and do it in a concise and holistic system that makes sense and that considers all the possibilities of hand-to-hand combat. So that's what we do here, but it's beneficial also to study expert resources in specific niches of martial arts. So you do want to consult MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, and grappling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because those skills will translate well. Now that is a vast world of knowledge. So again, where do we start? So you've determined a couple of sources that you trust because they have the demonstration of skills and they have good communication skills as well to be able to transfer that information to you. Now you need to know where to start. So the way I've done it many years ago and the way you should do it if you're just starting or if you're coaching somebody else on how to start that process, you should definitely look at basics first. So anything you search, look for MMA basics, boxing basics, wrestling basics, grappling basics. So add the term basics to any search that you do, and you will come up with valuable information in that specific area. So that's definitely where to start, basics. And you kind of need to organize the information for yourself. So that's the disadvantage, or I would say not a disadvantage, the sticking point for a lot of people is you just kind of absorb random information, but it's making it make sense, or organizing that information. Now, that's what we strive to do here at the school and on our channel, and I believe it's kind of my mission in life to organize knowledge to help students improve faster. And so if you look at our playlist on our channel, we really force ourselves to give you the information in as much of a structured format as possible. But to a certain extent, you will be responsible for structuring the information for you as well and emphasizing what you feel is the most important for your martial arts training at the beginning. If you don't have the benefit of a coach or somebody supervising your training, you will need to kind of take charge of that yourself and see which area needs the most work for you in priority at every stage of your training. So it is challenging, and if you can do that, you will be ahead of the curve compared to most people in learning online. Now, we started with the basics. From there, what do you watch? So I recommend definitely you need to watch technique tutorials. So especially if you're just starting out, there's tons of free content, even just on YouTube, so you don't need to invest in paid programs. That will come later as well, so I do recommend that, mostly for more experienced martial artists. Again, there's a lot of resources online. Just for grappling, for instance, BJJ Fanatics is a great resource. I'm a big fan of John Danaher's programs, and there's many other quality instructors on there. So definitely once you're a little bit more advanced, you want to invest in paid programs. And that's something we're looking to do as well later on our channel and in our community. But we'll keep on publishing free content until there. So technique tutorials. You want to watch technique tutorials that explain clearly how to do every technique. You want to remember that information and eventually practice it. So we'll get to that later. The next thing you need to do is to watch fights. So it's really important to watch the application of those skills at high-level competition settings or even street fights, seeing how it plays out in a real situation. Now, for that, I definitely recommend, if you're into effective martial arts and you follow our channel, like I said, we did one curriculum for all aspects of hand-to-hand combat, so you should definitely study MMA at the highest level. UFC and One Fight Championship are the most prominent, but there are other leagues as well that you should consult. And I would recommend looking at the highest level of performance. So focus on the main event first, and look at the main events for all past events as well. So UFC Fight Pass is a great resource that I consult all the time to watch UFC. And personally, I don't do it for entertainment that much. I mean, yes, it's fun, but I do it really for knowledge. So it's a study time for me. I study the fighters and I try to glean information from that and apply that into my own skills for practicing and for teaching. So you should definitely watch fights, but not just MMA as well. I believe it's also beneficial to study grappling fights. So just on UFC Fight Pass as well, you have EBI tournaments, Polaris tournaments, Flow Grappling, you have a lot of information on there as well. So in the tournaments, Fight to Win and others. And you can find a lot of matches online on YouTube as well. So you can find a lot of information that way. Watching fights, grappling, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, you will see those ranges exploited in more detail. And there's definitely a huge crossover between skills of those disciplines and mixed martial arts or self-defense. So you should study those as well. But if you do only one, MMA would be the basics because it puts everything together. Now, you should also watch breakdowns. So that's kind of like by watching fights, you watch it in real time, you pick up on the moves, the patterns of the fighters, and listen to the commentators as well on the techniques that they mention the fighters are doing, and take notes of those techniques so that you can research these techniques in tutorials later. You also have resources, and people publish a lot, fight or sparring breakdowns. So we have a couple on our channel as well where we do commentary over the sparring, and a lot of other YouTubers and online resources offer you breakdowns as well. So that will focus on a certain fighter and certain patterns that he has, things that make him proficient and good at what he does, and her, and that's going to help you pick up and not only just see the techniques, but also understand it because they're presented in slow motion with commentary and so on. So 3 things you should watch. So make sure you trust the source, make sure that you start with the basics if you're just starting out, and you should definitely watch technique tutorials, fights, professional fights at the highest levels, street fights as well to see how it plays out in real life with regular people, and sparring or breakdowns, which will help illustrate what's going on for you and break it down. Now, third aspect is consistency. So you need to put a plan in place in order to do this on a regular basis. Like I said at the beginning, you want to schedule that time and you want to develop the habit. That being said, I don't study all the time. I usually do like quick bursts of studying, maybe 1 or 2 months where I do a deep dive in one aspect of martial arts that I really want to understand. So let's say submissions. For instance, I think a great example, I've invested in many of John Danaher's program on BJJ Fanatics, and I really studied those programs in detail, and I will again come back to them as well. So because I want to kind of immerse myself in that aspect of martial arts at a time. My next endeavor in terms of pushing my martial arts skills, and that's going to be for our next advanced class session, will be wrestling. So I'm really going to be looking into wrestling in detail. And so we want to do that alternatively. I did it for striking before. So kind of pick one area and dive deep into it to really get all the information and kind of move your skills up in that area. During that time, you will also be maintaining your other skills, but you're kind of pushing forward in one area. And like I said, I don't do that all the time either. I usually do about 1 or 2 months in, and then 1 or 2 months off of study, intense study time. I still absorb information here and there. I watch videos, YouTube, I watch Instagram, but not like as deep as when I really put my head down and I study one specific area. So on and off works for me. You might want to do it regularly all the time. That's really up to you, but pick a consistency schedule that works for you, that you feel good about, and that you can still balance with the other aspects of your life. So like I said, I don't just learn martial arts. As a business owner, hopefully as a future influencer, I'm learning all the aspects also of social media, website design, business management, so leadership, all of that. I'm really trying to kind of build myself up as an entrepreneur. And so martial arts is a huge part of it, but I also want to study other aspects. So pick and choose what's most important to you at what time in your life and focus on that. So consistency balanced with the other aspects of your life that you want to learn. And number 4 is the concept of fitness. So no matter the amount of information that you gather online for martial arts, none of it will work if you're not in great shape. Okay? You need to have strong fitness. You need to train. And that's not something that you do on and off. That is something you do all the time. Maybe you don't push as hard regularly. Maybe take 1 week off, maybe 2. But you do this all the time. You need to be in great shape. Specifically, you need to have strength. And that's the first thing we need to work on with most beginners and kids and people in our programs. We want to build the body up in terms of muscular strength first. So we have good posture, good alignment when we do the techniques, and we're able to have a strong body that will support the execution of the techniques. So number 1 is strength, definitely. You want to have power as well, so explosive power. Once you're kind of strong, you want to be able to generate that strength in short bursts and really be more explosive with your movements. You then want to have endurance as well, so being able to consistently sustain effort over a period of time, muscular effort, and also cardio endurance as well. It's important that your lungs and heart are really up to speed to sustain the effort for a long time, because fighting can be a very demanding activity. It necessitates pretty much all the resources of a human being, so quick burst, power, speed, and endurance, because it might drag on for a certain amount of time. So yeah, strength, power, endurance, cardio, and speed. So you need to have agility and speed in your movements, coordination so that you're well coordinated. You know exactly where your body parts are in real time and you're able to hold your balance and reset your balance. So agility and coordination are huge. And lastly is definitely flexibility. So it helps with recuperation, and also it helps with especially positions that are more unusual. So for high kicks, if you want to be able to kick to the face, you need to have good flexibility in your hips and legs. For grappling specifically, you need to have very good flexibility in your hips and back so that you're able to have a tight guard and do strong escapes and attacks. So flexibility is something you should practice on a regular basis as well. Check out our full-length flexibility routine. It's here on our channel already, link in the card above. So, and we have also a playlist, by the way, about all the aspects of bodyweight training. So check that out if you have not already. Learning fitness online is something you can do as well. So you can consult resources to absorb information on how to train fitness online, and then go ahead and do it in practice on your own. You can do follow-along sessions. So we just published one on our channel, just recorded it today. And there's a lot of others as well on YouTube. Or you could just kind of watch programs and ideas about fitness and then do it on your own. So whatever resources you have available, body weights, free weights, or machines, absorb the information and then do it. Okay, you need to train fitness on a regular basis. And lastly is practice. So practice, I think, is a given. Everybody knows that if you want to be good at martial arts, you have to practice. So I won't spend too much time explaining why. I think that study time and absorbing information and knowledge, specifically online, is more often overlooked. So if you have that information, then you can use that information to then apply it in your practice time. So you definitely want to be doing solo practice. I think that's hugely beneficial to develop the patterns and the movements that you need to be able to do in your martial arts training. So we have tons of content on this channel for the basics, so white belt basics in all three ranges, and that usually focuses on mostly solo drills. So if you can't do the movement on your own, your chances of being able to apply it on an opponent, partner, or attacker are slim to none. So you want to be able to do the movements on your own. Solo drills are really important. And then practice with a partner is really important as well. Again, we're going to expand on that more in future videos. It's not really the subject of this video. But real quick, what you want is to be able to drill with your partner and have progressive levels of sparring. So using the concept of progressive resistance. We should do a whole video on that later because it's such an important aspect. But essentially, you don't want your partner to comply with your techniques when you're drilling. You don't want him to kind of go down for you if you're doing takedowns, or just give you the arm if you're doing submission, or just kind of not move if you're striking. So you want him to offer a little bit of resistance, but not so much that you're not able to do your technique. So this is kind of finding the sweet spot that we call, which is where you're successful most of the time. So let's say about 80% of the time your technique works, but that extra 20%, maybe your timing's a bit off, it's not working. I need to make those adjustments and practice real-time problem solving, because that's what martial arts is all about. It's a chaotic environment, and if you don't have the ability to adapt, no technique can work for you. So in practice, you want to focus on progressive resistance, and you want to seek out ideally people that have more experience than you, that can help you apply those techniques with progressive resistance. So allowing you to apply the techniques, but still offering you adequate and realistic reactions that you can expect from somebody who has the experience and the skill without overwhelming you, right? I think it is beneficial sometimes to spar with somebody who's a lot better and just doesn't give you any chances, without hurting you, of course, because then you get to feel the real power of technique. So it is an awakening experience, but I don't think that should be the vast majority of your training, because it's a kind of a wake-up call, but it's not that much conducive to improving your skills. If you're just getting smashed and you're just trying to survive, you're maybe getting tougher, you might learn a bit more of your defense, but you do want people that are better than you to kind of give you chances a little bit, at least most of the time. And then I think it is beneficial to practice people your own level and people that have less experience as well. When you practice with people with less experience, you can apply techniques that you're not necessarily as comfortable with. So you can apply them because people just don't necessarily know how to defend. They're still resisting, but they don't necessarily know the optimal way. So it is beneficial. And you can teach those people as well. You can help them out. If you have more experience, help that person out. Coach them on what the appropriate reaction should be. This will help you, in turn, improve your martial arts skills, because when you teach it to somebody else, you learn as well. So there's a saying that goes, when one teaches, two learn, because you're forced to kind of organize the information in your mind and verbalize it and transmit it to someone, and it kind of etches it in your mind more solidly. So that's it, guys, practice. And the last aspect of practice that's also very often overlooked is sometimes you can practice in your mind. And that's one of the benefits of watching videos, is that when you're watching, not only are you absorbing the information, but you should also visualize yourself doing the techniques or in the position of the person that's there, and what would you do in that situation? What technique would you apply? What defensive maneuver would you apply? What follow-up attack would you go for? So then at that point, you're visualizing yourself doing the techniques. And that is huge to move your skills forward. Visualization, I believe, is very underrated, especially in martial arts for whatever reason, but it's a very common practice in sports, high-level sports, for athletes of many different areas. You want to see yourself doing the techniques and in the situation in your mind, and you could do it like when you're just daydreaming, you could do it before you go to sleep in your bed, you could do it anytime, basically, organizing the information and seeing yourself do it. So doing what we call mental reps. So that is a great way for you guys to improve faster as well. So that's it, guys. How to learn martial arts by watching videos on YouTube. Hope you found this helpful. Quick recap, you want to schedule the study time. You want to definitely be discriminant on the information that you absorb. So make sure that it's from a source that you trust, and make sure that that source is able to transmit the information to you effectively. You want to look for people that have real skills, so people that have what you want, right? So demonstrated in sparring or fights. You should be studying the basics first, so look for keyword basics when you're studying any aspect of your martial arts training. You should be looking for technique tutorials. You should be watching professional fights and street fights, as well as breakdowns. So that's your information that you should absorb. Do it consistently on a schedule that works for you. So I like to do it in quick bursts, but you could do it consistently over time. So that's up to you, but make sure that it's a regular thing. Don't let it die for like 3-6 months. Come back to it regularly. Keep on growing as a martial artist and absorbing new knowledge and information. And number 4 is fitness. No matter what you know in terms of techniques, you will not be able to execute it if your fitness is not on point. So that should definitely come first. More about this later. As well as practice. Once you have the information, you definitely need to have the experience of applying it on a live human being. And the best case scenario is on a more skilled live human being. And even better than that is on a more skilled live human being that's helping you as well, that's adjusting the level of resistance to help you improve at the same time, so that you are challenged but not overwhelmed, and always keeping it safe, of course. So if you have more experience than somebody else, it's also a great opportunity to coach somebody else, because you improve as well when you help somebody else improve. So that's it, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this quick talk. Again, at the moment of this recording, it's the COVID-19 crisis that's just starting, social distancing and all that. So a lot of people are stuck at home. I hope that you can take from this video and take this challenging time or uncertain time as an opportunity to grow your martial arts skills even more. A lot of people are not in school, they're not working, they're not in gyms training, so might as well take this opportunity to grow our knowledge and grow our skills in any way that we can. So do what you can with what you got. So hope you find it helpful. Leave in the comments below if you like this video, if you found it helpful. If there's any aspect that you're not sure about or you have a question about, leave in the comments below, ask your question. And if any aspect of this was new to you or you found it specifically important, also write it down in the comments so that other people can see that it's been important to you, and I can highlight that aspect of the talk so that other people can learn from it at the same time, and it's gonna enforce those aspects. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope that you study well, practice well, stay in great shape, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and till next time. Patrick Phillip here at Effective Martial Arts HQ in Pointe Claire, West Island of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Thank you very much for watching. Practice well.